You know the question I get asked more than any other? Should I live on the Maryland side or the Virginia side of DC? And honestly, I get it. You look at the map, see all these suburbs on both sides of the city, and think, there has to be a clear winner, right? Well, here's the thing. After years of living here and helping people make this choice, I can tell you that the answer is not what most people expect. Hi, I'm Ryan Butler, your go-to real estate expert in the DC area. You are probably scrolling through Zillow, looking at all these counties and cities, trying to figure out which side gives you the best bang for your buck, the easiest commute, and the better lifestyle. But this is not about finding the better side. It's about finding your side. Trust me, the person who drives in Arlington is going to be completely different from the person who loves life in Bethesda. So let me break this down for you with real data and insider knowledge that most people do not get when they make this choice. Let's start with the thing that is probably going to affect your daily life more than anything else, your commute in DC. This is where Maryland and Virginia get really different. On the Maryland side, the Red Line is your main metro route into the city. There are 27 stations, and during rush hour, trains come every 4 to 5 minutes. The Red Line goes through some of Maryland's most popular suburbs like Bethesda, Silver Spring, and Rockville, taking you straight into downtown DC. Pretty convenient, right? But most people do not realize Maryland has other transit options too. The MARC train can get you from places like Frederick to Union Station for around $9, usually in around an hour and 40 minutes during peak times. That opens up a lot of communities where you can get more house for your money while keeping a reasonable commute. If you drive, Maryland's main highway into DC is I-270. The state has been upgrading interchanges and adding improvements, which have helped cut commute times. And there's actually a big difference in the vibe and lifestyle you will experience, which is why I will show you exactly what I mean when we get into that comparison. I'll get to it in a bit. Now, Virginia has a very different setup. The Silver Line is the main metro option, and Virginia has a big advantage with direct access to Reagan National and Dulles airports. Arlington is just a few minutes from Reagan, and Dulles is around 45 minutes away by metro. If you travel for work or want easy access out of town, that is huge. Virginia also has I-66 with express lanes. Commute times can be significantly improved during peak hours. The tolls can be high, but the time saved and stress reduced make it worth it. And Virginia offers more variety too. You have multiple metro lines, silver, orange, and blue, connecting all of Northern Virginia. Arlington and Alexandria are very well connected, and places like Tyson's Corner are major business hubs, so you might not even need to go into DC at all. Now, transit is one thing, but what it is actually going to cost to live on each side. But before we move on, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Finding the right side of DC is like finding the perfect property. It is all about location, timing, and the right info. That is exactly what this channel is for. Market updates, neighborhood deep dives, insider tips, and under-the-radar opportunities are all here so you never miss out. Now, let's get into the numbers everyone wants to know. This is where Maryland versus Virginia decisions get really interesting from a money standpoint. Across the state, Virginia housing is about 7% more expensive than Maryland. The median home price is $444,000 in Virginia versus $415,000 in Maryland. But averages don't tell the full story when we're talking about DC suburbs. In Virginia's closest suburbs, prices get serious. Arlington County's median home sales price is about $750,000. Fairfax County is more reasonable at around $769,000, but we are still talking premium pricing for premium locations. And speaking of costs, the tax differences between these states are huge. I'll break down exactly how much money we're talking about in a few minutes. Now, Maryland gives you more variety and more space for your money. The quality is often the same or even better than what you get in Virginia at similar prices. But here's where it gets tricky when you look at total costs. Virginia has lower income taxes and no local income taxes, while Maryland's combined rate can reach 8.95% depending on where you live. That makes a big difference if you make good money. Property taxes tell a different story. Maryland averages 1.02%, while Virginia comes in at 0.72%. So you pay more upfront in Maryland, but you might save on income taxes in Virginia. And here's something most people forget: vehicle taxes. In Virginia, you could pay around $1,370 a year on a $30,000 car. Maryland's vehicle taxes are generally lower. Little details like this add up and can really affect your monthly budget. So if you are thinking long-term about passing wealth to the next generation, Maryland is the only state with both estate and inheritance taxes. Virginia got rid of its estate taxes years ago. For high earners thinking about generational wealth, this is a big deal. Now, money is important, but it's not everything. Let me tell you about something that might matter even more for your daily happiness. So, this does not show up in spreadsheets, but it matters just as much. The lifestyle and vibe of each side. Virginia and Maryland have very different personalities that you need to know about. Virginia, especially Northern Virginia, has an urban-suburban mix that is hard to find anywhere else. You are close enough to DC to pop into the city for dinner or shows, but the communities also have their own business districts and nightlife. Arlington and Alexandria especially have an energy that attracts a lot of younger professionals. Northern Virginia also has a lot of corporate headquarters. You have big companies like Amazon's HQ2 in Arlington, plus tons of government contractors and tech firms. That creates a networking environment where career opportunities seem to pop up everywhere. And speaking of career opportunities, if you have kids or are planning to start a family, what I'm about to show you about the school systems on each side is going to blow your mind. Now, Maryland suburbs are a different story. These communities feel more established and have a suburban family vibe that has developed over decades. Places like Bethesda, Potomac, and Silver Spring have a settled, mature feel where families put down roots for the long term. Historic towns in Maryland are a big bonus too. Frederick and Annapolis are within commuting distance and give you access to colonial history and small-town charm you do not see on the Virginia side. Maryland also tends to have larger yards and more space between houses. If you want that classic suburban feel where neighbors know each other, Maryland often delivers that better than Virginia. But before you make any decisions based on lifestyle alone, we need to talk about something that could save or cost you thousands every day. Let me give you a quick breakdown on taxes and policies, because this stuff can really affect your take-home pay and long-term planning. Virginia usually comes out ahead on income taxes. They do not have local income taxes like many parts of Maryland. That can mean savings of a few percentage points depending on your income and exactly where you live. Maryland hits harder on estate and inheritance taxes. They are the only state with both, so if you are building wealth or inheriting property, that's a big deal. Property taxes usually cost more upfront in Maryland, but remember, your property tax bill is tax deductible on your federal return up to certain limits. The impact depends on your overall taxes. Plus, vehicle registration and personal property taxes in Virginia can be high, especially if you drive a newer or more expensive car. Maryland is usually more reasonable on car-related taxes. The bottom line on taxes, if you earn a lot, Virginia's lower income taxes might save you more than Maryland's slightly lower home prices. If you are more budget conscious or buying a smaller home, Maryland's cost structure might work better. Speaking of smart financial choices, if you have kids or are planning a family, what I'm about to share next is going to be a huge for your decision making. For families, schools often become the deciding factor, and both Maryland and Virginia bring some serious educational power. Montgomery County, Maryland consistently ranks among the top school districts in the country. 8 schools are in the state's top 25, and Walt Whitman High School ranks number 2 statewide. The academics in Montgomery County public schools are really impressive. Fairfax County, Virginia has 6 schools in the state's top 10, including Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology, which ranks number 5 in the nation for all public schools and is consistently the top STEM school in Virginia. If your kids love science, technology, engineering, or math, Thomas Jefferson is the gold standard. Arlington Public Schools rank number 2 in the state with a 95% graduation rate. For more urban district, this is really strong performance. Both sides have great college prep and extracurricular programs that help kids succeed at top universities. But family life is about more than schools too. Maryland suburbs usually have more established youth sports leagues, community centers, and that small town feel even within larger suburbs. Virginia suburbs, especially closer to DC, give families access to more cultural opportunities, museums, and urban amenities that older kids and teens really enjoy. Okay, so now that we have covered all the big factors, let me tell you exactly who thrives on each side of DC. So after looking at all the data and working in this market, here's who I usually see thriving in each area. Maryland is best for families who want space and top-rated schools. If you want suburban comfort with bigger yards, established communities, and family-focused vibe, Maryland delivers. Budget-conscious buyers who want more square footage and do not need to be super close to downtown, DC tend to love Maryland. But you also see people who prefer a quieter, more residential lifestyle, but still want access to DC gravitate towards Maryland. The communities feel more settled and permanent, with a sense of putting down roots for the long term. Now, Virginia usually attracts young professionals who want networking and career opportunities. The closeness to major employers, the urban-suburban lifestyle, and the transit options make it perfect for people who want to stay connected to the energy and opportunities of city life. And if airport access is important, Virginia is the clear winner. If you travel often for work or want easy weekend getaways, direct metro access to both Reagan and Dulles is a total game changer. And Virginia also works well for people who want walkable neighborhoods with nightlife and dining. Arlington and Alexandria have become real urban centers with their own character and amenities. So here is the real answer to the Maryland versus Virginia question. And it is probably not what you expected when you clicked on the video. The thing is, neither side is truly better. They're just different and serve different lifestyles and life stages. Virginia is great for transit and career and networking. Maryland gives better value for families and more suburban space. The choice really comes down to what matters most to you right now and where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years. Look, if you're trying to make decisions and feeling overwhelmed by all of the options, that is exactly why I'm here. Every situation is different, and what works for your coworkers or friends might not work for your budget, your commute, or your long-term goals. Reach out to me today at ryan@coalitionpg.com and let's talk about your specific situation. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't miss my next video linked right here. I go over the top 8 DC suburbs to live in 2025. If you are buying a home in the area this year, this video is a must-watch, and you will be surprised by some of the areas that made the list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.